We are not live, we are not live, but we're still alive, Gary. It's another week on planet Earth. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
I've got my special mug for this week, which I don't know if that's in reverse, but keep calm and carry on.
That's a really good thing, actually. Yeah, keep calm and carry on.
Anyway, hello, lovely Gary. So how are you? Are you all right?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very well. I'm raring to go on this Friday.
So am I, and anybody looking below will see our packed desk spaces here. In fact, mine is spreading way out to the side. I've got loads of stuff here. We're going to be weaving our life today, or weaving our week, weaving our day, and I think it's a lot of fun that we're going to have. So, lovely YouTuber, if you would like to watch this video with us and at the end you think I really enjoyed that, please press the like button down there somewhere. It's a thumbs up. We would love to have your subscriptions as well. If you would like to subscribe to us, that means that we can raise our viewership, get the word out there, get everybody on the crafting ship, and all have some fun together. Unfortunately, we can't supply cocktails, but we can supply some lovely weekly exercises for you to enjoy. And also as well, if you hit the notification bell, that means you'll be notified when we've actually uploaded content, which we do every Friday. And this is called the Tea Time Tutorial. Now, what Gary and I always do is a bit of mindfulness first, and then we do our crafting. But I'm going to switch it up a little bit this week. I'm not going to give you a quote this week, Gary. I'm going to relate to this and mindfulness and life, because I was thinking about this morning. Oh, by the way, I'll put the time codes below. So if anybody wants to skip this sort of 3 or 4 minute chat that we have now about mindfulness and what it can do for you and what it means, then the code will be there for you to just get stuck into the crafting, which is weaving your life, down below. Okay, so they've either gone or they're stayed. I do wonder how many people stay. I think if you're clever, you can look at the stats on YouTube and find out, but I haven't quite worked it out yet. It's probably best not to look, Gary. One person stays and watches you rabbiting on. What is it? This week for me has been a tricky week. I've had some extreme highs and really good days. I went to Leeds and had a lovely day in Leeds and things like that. But I also hurt my back, not in Leeds. I hurt it a few days before. And I had a migraine yesterday. And so I was feeling really quite low. And then I thought, right, I've got to get ready for this exercise. I actually wanted to get ready for the exercise by really thinking about what I wanted to create in terms of weaving my life. What is my life about? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? And I gathered little bits as I went. And I suddenly thought, bingo. That is mindfulness, and that is what we're doing with these exercises. Just the getting together of things, the gathering things in, the thinking took me outside of my depression and my post-migraine. And that is mindfulness. It brought me right back down. I grounded myself, and I already felt happier walking into this room. I'm going to feel even happier when I'm creating. So that's what we're trying to do on this channel. So there you go. That's my quote for the day, Gary. What say you, dear friend?
Well, lovely to hear that. And I think it is, rather than spending our mind on the negative things that are sent to try us, the headache, the bad back, the late bus, or anything that maybe is more negative. What you're saying is that you're now have trained your mind to actually I have this activity to do today, and it's much more of a positive mind, thoughts, time spent on something that's much more beneficial. You've had a migraine, it's past, you're now in a better place than you were yesterday. So that's what you're now doing. And hopefully everyone else that's been sort of following us has started to think about, rather than sticking in either the past, as in negative things in the past, and moving onto a more positive mindset, thinking about more positive actions.
And I thought this week when I went to Leeds, it struck me, oh my goodness me, I have finally learned a lesson that it has taken me years and years, decades to learn. Living in the moment and appreciating the moment. And when I was in Leeds this week, and my daughter had the audition and I had 3 hours off, all the other mums sat there in the waiting room waiting for their children. Fine, they're on the phones, lovely. Not saying anything against it. But I thought, no, I'm going to go and explore. And I went into Leeds and I took photos of random things. I just enjoyed being in a different city, looking at the graffiti, looking at the buildings. And I realized I was enjoying the moment, and I thought, yes. And you know, I think this has come from our creative sessions. I think it's from talking about mindfulness. I think it's from practicing it. And you have to practice it because it takes a long time. But I think I finally got there. Not perfect. I'm probably going to sit on the beach again and think about that dinner at night time. But you know, it's a skill that I'm learning.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. All right.
Hurrah! Well, let's learn some new skills, Gary,
Okay,
now, because this is called weaving your life. And we do
Oh
weave
my God.
that.
Oh my God, that sounds so sort of like dramatic, doesn't it? So it's a sort of a concept that I came up with, you know, from my sort of textile background and everything like that. And I just thought, wouldn't it be nice if you sort of captured a moment or time in a weave, like make a little loom and capture something. So I've got a little in front down here. I've got a little, this is sort of like, this is my concept. And this is what I've done. And I showed you yesterday and I thought, this is what I want you to do, Rachel.
Yes.
So we're going to make a very simple loom. And what I want you to do really is, and I set you this task, and you can tell me what you gathered in a minute. But I want you to gather things either through your week, through it could be through a moment. It could be that you've gone on a journey and you've collected things on that journey. It could be something you've collected throughout your day. So I just set my task at something I collected throughout my day and sort of captures my life in a way. So I've collected little twigs and things and little bits of dried grasses, and I saw them on my journey with my dog. So I was walking the dogs and I was wandering around, what can I capture, what can I take with me that I can weave in amongst my, on my little loom. I had to have sort of, if it was 2-3 dimensional stuff, that wouldn't weave, but I thought, I can see grasses and little sticks. Now I know I can weave those in. Then I sort of like, I was unpacking the shopping, and I was so these bags that the onions come in and the garlics and things like that, the vegetables come in. And I thought, well, I don't want to just chuck them into the recycling. I just think these make, and I've collected these before, they make great sort of like bits for sort of textiles and things like that. You can sew into them, all sorts of things. But I thought, well, I could just cut them into strips and use them within my weave. So I've done that. Magazines, I cut up some strips of magazine that I thought, well, there's sort of a magazine that was on the coffee table, and I could cut some strips of that could go in. And also, because I love my affirmations, I went back to my list of affirmations and I've cut a few affirmations, and they can go in as well. So that, and bits, sorry, and in the bin was loads of scraps of fabric. So we forget there's scraps of fabric. Lots of us come from a textiles background, or we're sewists, or we're quilters, or we do knitting and things. So we've got scraps of wool, we've got scraps of fabric. Now, if we just tear them into little strips, they will obviously weaving perfectly. So that's the sort of thing that you can put in what I've chosen. It'd be interesting to see what you've chosen in a minute, Rachel. But I'll just talk. What I'll do is let's just start off with just making the simple loom that we can weave things in and out of. So I've just got a bit of cards, and I'll show you what is. So this is just off the dishwashing tablet box. So pick yourself up a sort of reasonable sort of strength bit of card, and that can become your loom. I've done 5x6. It could be any size, but I know a lot of you like, well, Gary, can you tell me what size I need? So I've done 5 inches by 6. And what you've got to do, if you can see this one, you've just got to cut some little grooves in the top and bottom that you can wrap some string, thread, wool around. So what I'm going to do, I'll just say how I've done it. So all I've done is about sort of 1/2 inch little border each end. So you don't have to draw. This is just a guide, and this just shows you what you can do. So I'm going to just cut some little notches in the top there. I'm going to just do almost like, and I'm doing this by eye, so you can eyeball this. If it worries you not to do it by eye and you want to measure, they're about, I'd say about 1/4 inch apart if you want to. And you're going to do the same amount on the top and the bottom, and you're just going to make some little marks. So you've got something to cut for putting your threads through. Now you can either use a craft knife, so you can use a craft knife, and you can just cut. Be careful what you're cutting onto. I'm cutting onto my mat, but if you haven't got a mat and using a craft knife, you can always cut onto a magazine to cut through. If you haven't got a craft knife, you can use some scissors. So you can just use scissors, and you can just use scissors it's probably just easier to use scissors if you haven't got a craft knife. Just make some little, all I'm doing is some little tabs in there, and then sort of opposite that, I'm doing a similar amount. If they're not directly in front, but directly above each other. That doesn't matter. That won't make any difference. They can be wonky little bits of weaving threads. That's fine. So I'm just going to do that. And then I'm taking a bit of thread, like so. I'm just using this on a spool. This is sort of like a narrow string. And I'm just going to start off my first one. So I'm just going to wrap it right round the back, and I'm just going to tie a knot to get it started. And it's quite a secure knot. You don't want this to all be loose and sort of not tight. So I'm doing a couple of, I know that it's secure. That's tied onto there. And then, get enough thread, then I'm just going to wrap around, up and down, reasonably taut, but not so taut it's going to cut right into the cardboard. So I'm just going to do that, like that, right round. And again, this is a little sort of project that not just adults can do. We can get the young people getting involved as well. We can do something to do up the dining room table if we've need an activity.
Yeah, it's
and
great.
Again, when you get to
great
kit, so we can just, what we're going to do is we're just going to tie that off at the top. So I'm just going to tie it round, and again a little double knot, so it's not going to come loose, and making sure I'm keeping. Sometimes you could almost do with someone with that extra finger, say, can you just put your finger here while I just tie this knot and get this nice and tight? But that should be fine. So have you been following me, Rachel?
I've been following you. I'm just looking at how to tie that knot off because I missed that bit.
Okay. So I've done it like that. You can see, actually, my strings this time slightly wonky, slightly going up that side. That's fine. I like that. I like wonky. Lovely. So we got that. That should be fine.
Just tying it off, tying it off.
All right. I did, actually, I'll show you a little trick. When yesterday, you see on the back, one of my strings actually broke because I was being a bit rough with it. So I just put a bit of tape. I thought, oh, one of my strings are broken. So I just taped it to the back, and that held it in place. So that's fine. So if that does happen to you, just have a bit of sellotape and a masking tape, and you can just put that up to hold it from the back.
Okay.
Okay, so Rachel, what did you collect? So what sort of things are you going to weave in?
Okay, so I just to show people how easy it is, I did the same. I got a back of a cereal box, and I've just literally done that as Gary was talking. I didn't measure it. I just eyeballed it and just got my scissors and snipped like that, turned it round, snipped, just basically thought about, you know, like you say, looking at roughly, you can see where it is at the top and bottom, and I've done it. Yay! So that's that. So that, and then, so just talking about that mindfulness thing this morning. So that's what I thought. I thought I want to do this. As we know, I've ordered some new clips today for my pin board. So we know these things go on my board to motivate me every day. So I thought, well, I want to sort of pick up on, you know, this week and the challenges, but also the positivity that comes through. So I went into my garden because I do like sitting in my garden, and I had a little cup of tea because the sun was out and I was able to sit there. So I just picked up a few things from the garden, which was nice. And, you know, this is interesting. I saw these dead leaves, but then I got these that are still alive. And I just thought, this is like life, really, in terms of, you know, things pass on, new things come. It's that things disappearing and things coming. You know, some things come back into your life, some things just go, and then they're replaced by other new things and new energies. And I wanted to put that into my piece. And then, you know, with the migraine and thinking about it, I thought, well, you know, one thing that always makes me feel good is fruit. So that was just from the top of the cereal box. But I just loved the idea of having these berries and things somewhere in there. And then this was the back of my prescription bag that I got my migraine medications in. But, you know, I just thought, okay, so I had a migraine. It wasn't pleasant, but the prescription medication worked. I was able to sleep. I got through the pain. But look, it's trees, it's life. It's like, don't worry, you know, things will be okay. You'll get through. So I just cut up, some more bits of green. I also liked this from the prescription bag, recyclable. I mean, I think it's a good thing to be recyclable, doing recyclable things anyway. But, you know, I just thought there's something about that word and life to me. Life is recyclable. We're always recycling, aren't we? We're always going in new cycles. And this, I did think at first that was number 8, and so number 8 is my lucky number, and number 8 is also very important in terms of spiritual things, lessons, life going back around, etc. So I kept
the infinity So an 8 is an infinity sign. That's
yeah,
what it is.
and that's important to me. And then I've just grabbed some colors of that I really love. So some sequin threads.
Oh, your colours. Your
Yes.
colours. Yes.
You know,
That
and then a bit of
pink
purple.
and lime. Pink and
Yeah.
lime, definitely, Rachel.
So, you know,
Lovely.
that's just what I went for. And I just thought, right, I'm going to somehow put that together to remind me of the positive things in life.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, right. Well, we can go. I think we'll do screen. I'll show both of our screens now, so we can both get working on this and both
Yes.
decide. I will. The magazine. Just a little tip with magazine. You could cut. So I could use scissors to cut strips from magazine. But if you get a magazine, you'll find that the page will tear straight strips either one way or the other. There's always grain to paper, so you'll find out which way it is. So if the paper, you get nice long strips, you can, just by tearing little strips from that. You'll find if you tore it the other way, you wouldn't get long strips. You'll get like little pieces like this. So there's always grain to a piece of paper. So if you've got paper, I think a torn edge looks so much more decorative than a cut edge. But if you feel like, oh, I'm not really quite ready to do torn edges, it looks too messy for me, then cut it by all means. That's fine. So that's how I just did those little strips. Okay, so I don't know, you can work from the top and work your way down. Yesterday, actually, when I did mine, I worked from the bottom upwards. So whatever. And I just sort of started off, I sort of made choices of what and how I wanted to layer it. The paper, you could slightly scrunch up and make a little bit more sort of scrunched like that. And the idea of weaving is you go under one, over the other, under one, over the other, and till you get to the end. So you're just weaving in and out so you get to the end. Now you'll find that your pieces are probably far too long. Well, they could be short. I mean, they could be shorter than what you need, but then you've got a piece that looks like that. So I'm just going to then push that down to the bottom like that. I can trim off at this stage if I want to. I can trim off at the end. But if you find it's all getting a bit tangled up, you can trim as you go along. So there's that piece. And then weaving to the next piece you put in goes in the opposite direction. So where I think I might use this lovely strip of this sort of this plastic garlic bag. And so where you went under before, you go over, and when you went over the last one, you go under. So you're just going opposite. So the practice of this is it's now absorbing your mind. Not only have you started to think about things you're going to collect and things you might pick up to weave into this little loom, but now you're doing what's called a repetitive process, a bit like knitting, a bit like sewing, embroidery and things like that. It's a repetitive where your brain is now having to think, now is that over? Is that under? How do I repeat that? So it's very hard for you while you're doing this. It's quite difficult to now start thinking of all the woes and the worries or the problems in the world. You're just concentrating on a simple task, a repetitive simple task, but also needs some cognitive thinking to think, right, what looks best with that purple? What do I put next with the purple? Does another piece of magazine look nice with that purple? So I might add another little bit of green next to the purple because I quite like those colors working together. I see, Rachel, you've got a lovely, you're well away now. Look at you.
I know, look.
You're into production. That pink looks lovely in the middle. Looks absolutely lovely.
But I think as well, you know, you were just saying there, your brain can't think about other things. But I think also as well, what this does is just take you away from your phone or your computer or the TV or whatever. It just, you can't do those things at the same time. And, you know, we've said this before, our brains are not designed to be wired all the time to all of these things. And it's not healthy. So it's a really good idea.
No. Exactly.
You know, to try and escape it. I wish like green was longer. I'm just going to look see if I've got a limey.
And another thing with these tasks that are sort of like a thought of for this sort of monkey motivation month that we've been doing is that I don't want people to start feeling that they've got to really like practice skills, because that then starts to add stress to the situation. Well, I'm not good enough. We've kept the skills or what the activity quite sort of a level, not as a basic, but a level that doesn't require lots of heavy skills. It's something that you can just play at, maybe something that perhaps we practiced when we were much younger, and then we can go back to that, and then we can make it as sophisticated as we want to. So it's not like it has to be sophisticated at this stage. It can become sophisticated, but it doesn't have to be at this initial stage while you're doing it. So no, I'm going to weave in a stick. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use some of my organic matter, and I'm just going to, if there's too many, like this little stick might have a few little, like little extra little branches coming off it. So I'm going to take those off, and I'm going to just, in fact, I'm going to cut it. In fact, there's a lovely bit with like these, almost like these little catking bits on the end, and I want them in my weave. So I'm going to use those, and I'm going to just weave that in. You can weave over the top, so you don't have to keep weaving one next to the other. You can weave again. Once you put a piece in, you can then weave on top of that. So thread it in on top of something. That's doable as well.
Yeah,
I said, there's no, you've done that. So there's no real like hard and fast rules with this. Really the only rule is that while you're building it up, that you're doing that alternative in and out, in an alternative pieces. I'm going to try a little bit this like lemon bag, that sort of, this lemon bag of mine really totally disintegrated, but I am a bit of a collector of things. I sort of see potential in things that perhaps people might throw away and think, oh, that's, or put, not say throw away, but maybe put in the recycling. And actually I think, well, there's potential for that. I save that. I do sometimes have to have a good clear out because I've saved too much stuff. I remember having a loft full of jars and yogurt pots, and my partner said, Gary, you're going to have to get rid of these yogurt pots one day because we've just collected too many of them. There is not enough craft activities in the world for all those. So I did have a bit of a cull of my yogurt pots and jam jars, but I have to confess, I have started collecting jam jars again.
Yeah, but you know what I love with jam jars is the idea of putting candles in them and hanging them in the garden.
Oh, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
nice.
And there is, I don't know if I must do that. We could do that one day. There is a little technique where you create almost like, do you remember when we were young and we used to do cat's cradle, when we had to length the string join, so it was like a round circle. We put it between our hands and then we did these things and took it off of people. Did you ever do that as a child?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So there's that. Again, that's a lovely activity to do, isn't it? With a piece of string, and do those things that we used to do with the patterns that you used to be able to make with the string with your two hands.
Yeah.
But there is a thing that you can create, and you lay it on the table. So you manipulated the circle of string, and then you put the jam jar in the middle. As you lift the string up, it creates like a little bag, a little holder for it to go. So then you can then hang it in the tree, rather than just thinking,
that's a great idea.
I know. What I'll do is I'll have to look that up, and I'll bring that into one of our little sessions and do that. It's a pity that on our Zoom you can't actually put your hands in. We could have been doing cat's cradle as well as one of our.
Yes,
apart from cat's cradle, we used to do that thing with elastic with our around our ankles. Do you remember you used to have a long piece of elastic? You do it with two people. You stand one end, they're the other. You've got the elastic, and then you would do some like cat's cradle, but with your feet, wouldn't you?
Yeah, we're showing our age now, Gary.
We really are. I mean, these things have been forgotten. I mean, I just wondered what the younger generation would make of it all now. I don't know. Thinking,
I don't know, but you know what's so nice is that you and I did do the same things. It's like we're talking about the Tony Hart program, weren't we? Did you ever send an artwork into Tony Hart? I bet you did.
What's that? Did I what? Sorry,
send in an artwork to Tony Hart?
Yes, I did. I did, and I don't know if it ever made the gallery. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think mine made the gallery. I definitely sent one in, but didn't make the gallery.
Good.
There was a lovely interview with him in the Times, actually, not so long ago, just talking about, you know, art and what it does for people and why he absolutely loves it. And yeah, he just came across as a genuinely lovely man.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And must have inspired so many young people to do arts and crafts, you know, to get involved in it all, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm going to use another bit of my purple garlic bag and cut that. How are you getting on, Rach? Oh, you've got all sorts in yours. You've managed to get your foliage in as well.
Yes, just putting that on the corners now. Yeah.
Because there's no reason that you don't have to have long pieces. Like you've used like larger pieces, and then you can pick up the weaving to the from the side then, where that's
Yeah.
finished, then you can just weave something in over the top of that as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to put, I'm going to cut out an affirmation. So, oh, I can find one. So I'm going to just cut. So if anyone wants some affirmations to just sort of get them started, I think I mentioned this last week. I think it's, if you download the free template, is it for the
feathers?
For
Yeah.
the feathers?
And I will put the link again underneath so everybody can just click. But you basically, when you go to if you click on the link, it will take you to the website, and then it'll take you straight to download a feathers PDF. And you may think, I don't want feathers. Well, actually, you should just color them anyway. They're a lovely free PDF. Why not? Yeah, it's fart. Nothing farty about it, Gary.
Arty farty.
It's part of the feathers.
Yes. Yeah, so you can use it from that. That would be fine. So lovely. But as I say, you can make up your own, or what you could do is let's have a little look through some of the ones that I've chosen. And I can't take credit for all of them, because some of them I found online, and I thought, well, that's really nice. I'll take that one. But you can adapt any of them to suit you, or to suit what you want to put in. You know, if you want to, you don't have to. I mean, as I said, this could be about a holiday or a little journey or something like that. So you might put place names in there or something. I like words. I think words nice. They sort of like narrate. We can narrate things visually with sort of pictures and things like that, but also you can narrate obviously with words, and just one word, a little sentence, anything like that. And it just sort of brings it back doesn't have to be for a viewer, it can be just for you, so that when you look at it, it just prompts you again to take you back to that time or that week or that day that you just did this, and you just think, oh yeah, on that day I went for a walk with the dogs, and oh yes, I went and I unpacked my shopping, and I found use for all my little string bags and bits and pieces, or the thread from the bin, the fabric from the bin. And this, the fabric from the bin here, it reminds me that I've had a lovely week with my niece, just helping her sew and make that lovely dress. That was really a nice thing to do. Nice to make nice memories. So, I can remember, and it's funny really, because it makes me remind me when I grew up with my nans. Both my nan and my nana were both very much into sewing and creativity, and they both worked in the textile fashion industry, and so they had time to then show me. They wanted me to learn, so they would give me the fabric or sit with me. It was in my nan's sewing room that I learned to sew originally. And I'd knock on Nan's door and say, Nan, can I go upstairs and use your sewing machine? Yes, off you go. And she'd just leave me to just get on and just use the sewing machine. And it was, with those little things, like now working with my niece, I know that it's going to benefit her, or it's going to give her nice things to remember when she gets older. You never know. She might end up doing it as a career. It'd be nice if she did, but there's no pressure there really. It's just if she wants to, she can.
I was thinking today how lucky she was to have you as an uncle, actually. So good. But there are so many sewists, that I interview, who say, yeah, it was my grandma that taught me, or it was my auntie, or whatever.
Yes.
I think moms and dads are quite often so busy that it is the other relative.
It's the next generation, so they have a little bit more time, because parents-wise, they're really, especially today, living in today's world, both of them are more likely working, so both are out to work, both have a very hectic life, and having the time to then to do those skills and to sit down with them. Whereas uncles like myself and grandparents, they have the time, especially me, who, I work for myself, I have my own studio and stuff, so it's all part of my job. So yes, she's like my little apprentice that comes into my studio and just works with her on her little project. So yeah, really nice. But I do think also another thing, I mean, like thinking into it, how often creative people have come from it's a generational thing. So is it that there's two things? Is it nature or nurture, or is it Is it that actually, is it in our genes, or is it that we choose to have people around us when we come, this is me thinking, when we come to this world, that we choose those relatives that also have those same sort of skills or interests, so then support us as we're developing our skills. So that's a little thought.
It's very interesting. I mean, very relevant this week because, as I say, my daughter was auditioning at dance school, and as you know, I went to drama school.
Yes.
So, but I haven't. Of course, I've encouraged her. I've encouraged her in everything that she ever wants to do, but I've not at all. And I was talking to the lady at the dance school about this, and she said, there are some people who their children come along and should that they're doing it because their parents want it. And I said, no, I wanted Maddie. I said to her, look, can't you go and she's a really good editor, can't you go and learn some editing skills, because there's more work for editors than there are dancers.
Yeah.
I know that, having gone to drama school myself, and I left a job that was paying very well. I had a company car, but I only ever took that job until I got into drama school. But I know when I left it, everybody was like, are you crazy? And yes, I probably would have ended up in a much more financially stable position if I'd stuck with that job, but I wouldn't have lived the life I'd lived. I think it's within you. Things are within you. You can't change what's in you, and so I wouldn't try and change it with her. But it is interesting because I said to her when she went for audition, and of course she was nervous and everything, but I said, something, Maddie, it's like Craig Revel Horwood on Strictly Come Dancing. He always says the one thing you can't teach people is musicality. When someone has either got musicality in them, yes, you can dance to a rhythm, but having that musicality is something that's got to be within you to really feel that music. There are just dancers who feel the music when you watch them dance. There are people who do steps and do steps very well, but there are people who absolutely feel it, and Maddie feels it. She feels it. So where's that come from? That's not from a pushy parent. That's
no, it's in her. It's in her as something to do. And it's just that she's you're her mother. She might have chosen you to be her mother, so that you came from a creative background, so that she was surrounded by people that were creative, and that so she felt it helped her find her true path. So it's her path for the moment. It's what she wants to, and she must fulfill that desire to go into the thing that she's passionate about. And she might, come out the other side and think, well, actually, I don't want to be a dancer. I want to do something else. But I bet you it will be related to what she's doing and this little journey now that she's embarking on as a teenager. I think it's amazing. Lovely.
Yeah, to be fair, exciting. She actually wants to be a choreographer, so that's slightly better, because you can be a choreographer when you're 80. If you're a good choreographer, you'll still be in demand. Not that Arlene Phillips is 80, but look at Arlene Phillips; she's still working.
Amazing, and yes, and we can all, I know I've had this conversation with you, I'm sure other people have heard that, my career first started out in catering, and I fulfilled what I needed to do, but it wasn't enough for me. So then I went on to do much more of my artwork, which was always something in the background. And as I said, it was something I used to go and knock on Nan's door and say, can I go and be creative in your back room with your sewing machine? And so things sort of come and go. And now I'm back and I'm enjoying my cooking. And as you know, I have people come to my studio and then they come for lunch, and I enjoy the entertaining. So it sort of comes around. Whatever you learn in life, you never lose, and you will be able to revisit, and you'll be able to look at it again, maybe in a different way, and learn to love it again. That's what's happened to me,
Yes.
What have you written in there? Right, come on, man. Come on. I've been distracted and you've been busily working away. Right, okay.
Oh, hang on, I didn't get my word in. Let me just get my word in.
You've got another word, yes.
And then I am done. I'm going to put that bit under there. That's it. This has been great fun. I could just carry on with this. I really could.
Yes.
Loads of stuff. So, okay. So I'll hold mine up closer to the camera so people can see. Yes, my affirmation there was smell the coffee, sniff the roses. And there's a kind of meaning behind that. I mean, obviously you'll have heard that phrase, smell the coffee. And I think, to be honest, that can mean I've heard it used as, oh, come on, smell the coffee, as in, you know, the universe is telling you something here. Life is telling you something. You know,
Oh,
this person,
okay. Mm.
you know, this
Mm.
person is not right. This person is not telling you the truth or whatever. And you go, smell the coffee. But also as well, what's beautiful is that if you do sit down and actually smell the coffee, another connotation is that you're in the moment again. You're in the moment.
Yes.
You're
Yes.
smelling that coffee. You're
Yes.
sniffing those roses. You're living in the moment. And also for me, you know, flowers and coffee. Coffee takes me right back to Italy, you know, and the roses
Mm.
just take me to spring. And also when people have bought me roses, it's romantic, it's love. So those are two lovely smells for me. So that's why I use that
Yeah.
phrase.
Yeah. You know, that's so nice because someone's used that phrase to me. You know, you can work so hard at something, and say you, for the analogy, is that you work hard growing the most beautiful roses, but you haven't actually taken time to then smell them. So you create something, or you're putting all your effort into something, then just sit or stand or stare or look and enjoy what you've created. So to take the time to actually smell the roses.
Yes. Lovely. And yours is, I am a
Mm.
magnet for good things in my life. And you are. Because look what's happened. Me and you came together. So there you are.
Yeah,
You're a magnet for good things.
there you go. There you go.
There you
Wonderful.
go.
Lovely. So that's really nice. And I love how you've woven the colours. You're really got love, and it's got your lovely zingy colours in there, that lovely pinks and the limes and the purples and the yellows. And they are the colours. Do you remember when I said, Rachel, go and put some bright colours on and do your recordings in your bright, and I
Yes.
look so lovely.
Yeah.
So nice. Bright colours really are you. Really
Yeah.
nice.
Ah, thank you, Gary. Right,
Okay.
let's bring it back to the gallery so we can now see each other. Lovely. And I've actually tied a string on the top. Can you see, Gary?
Yes. Yeah. Hang on. Let's get back to the full gallery. Yes.
So
Yes.
now, until my pegs come, I'm just going to pop it over that peg like that.
What? So yeah. So it becomes like a little, almost like little hanging. So you could like,
Yes.
yeah. What a good idea. So just a little bit of thread. So you can put a thread on the back, really, couldn't you? Just tie it to the back.
Yeah, I just put it through the I'll just show you there. I don't know how I did it. Yeah, I just threaded it. Yeah, threaded a long
Across.
piece through. That's right. Put it
Yeah.
across. Yeah, I've woven it across, as you can see. So it's there, woven with long
There you
pieces
are.
and tied it.
There we are.
Yeah,
Perfect. And then you
there
just
you
hang it
are.
on a hook.
Yeah,
Lovely.
there's that.
Really, really cool.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Oh, how lovely. What a fantastic session that was. Really enjoyed
Yeah.
that. Really enjoyed it. And it's taken away any of that pain and tiredness as well. So I
Yes.
feel invigorated now, ready to crack on with the rest of my day.
Exactly.
So thank you so
Exactly.
much, lovely Gary. Thank you to you, YouTube. But as I say, if you've enjoyed it, please hit the like button. It does help us to get the word out there so we don't get buried because there's so much content on YouTube. So yeah, please do hit that bell for us. We would be greatly appreciative. Right, so we'll be doing something next week. It looks like we'll be doing a bit of the old
Cat's cradle. Let's get that back as a craze. Let's get that back as a craze.
Let's bring it back.
Everyone doing that.
Let's get those kids off those phones. I tell you something
Mm.
else I used to do as well. But you used to do this, didn't you? Did you used to play marbles in the grates?
No.
Oh,
No.
we did
What's
in
that?
Yorkshire. Yeah, so you know the grates were on the floor, and you'd have these little
Yeah.
marbles, and you had to hit them into the holes in the grates and things with your finger, and knock all the marbles out of the way.
No, never did marbles. I
Yeah,
didn't do
no, I remember
marbles,
doing
but
that.
that sounds cool.
Yeah. Anyway, right. Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you, lovely YouTuber. And we will see you on another tea time tutorial. If you've been so inspired by this one, remember there are now 30 other tea time tutorials in our collection. So please do go and have a look. And there's loads and loads of things for you to play with and be mindful and relax and enjoy yourself and clear your mind. And basically give yourself some time, some love, and some affection. Do it for yourself. Lovely. Bye-bye.